Okay, guys, well, welcome to day 5 of English 101 composition class with me, your professor, Jeff Block. Um, so let's see, a couple of things one thing I want to say on here is that I'm going to try to remember to ask you guys questions, either here or written down, that you can answer in the comments, on the discussion board on Blackboard, because I know that one of the I should give you guys a little bit more direction, but one of the things I like to do is I like to have students pick things they're interested in to try to find space. A lot of teachers will be like, well, answer the following 5 questions and whatever. And I tend to, like, when I'm face to face with students, stuff comes up. Students ask questions, and stuff comes up that students bring up, and then I have this class discuss those things. But since I don't have you here in person, I'm going to try to be better about asking questions. But one thing, if you want to make comments on the blog, or on the blog, if you want to make comments on the discussion board on Blackboard, one thing you can do is just pick a sentence in the Phaedrus. Probably something we've been over before would be easier, but you're welcome to grab a sentence that Socrates or Phaedrus says, and you could try quoting it. You could try putting that quote in your own words. You could try using examples to explain what that quote means. You could try introducing the quote, which is Plato says in his book, ancient Greek philosopher Plato says in his book, the Phaedrus, right? You can also, if you want to get advanced, you can try telling me your opinion about the thing that you just quoted. You can give me the reason why how much do you agree or disagree with what Socrates said or what Phaedrus said. How much and what reason? Do you have a reason for agreeing or disagreeing? And do you have examples to kind of back this up or explain it? This is something you can always do. Always. It doesn't matter. You can, if you find a quote on there, you can try just talking about it in the discussion board on the blog, and then I keep saying blog, but I'm going to mess that up a bunch. But the discussion board on Blackboard. If you go on there, you hit discussion board, you can do this, and then I can give you credit for it. And that is a substantial comment, and I will give you class credit for doing that. And you can do that anytime. If you got a free couple of hours, you could do that 5 times, and I will give you credit for 5 of those. Or you can just do, just do it once per session or whatever you want to do. You can also ask questions and do that kind of stuff. So I'll try to provide some space for you guys to kind of interact uh, with the videos a little bit more, because right now I'm just like, comment on the videos, or ask me questions, but you may not have any questions. And you also may be having trouble putting your questions into words, and you may be unclear about how to comment or what to say. But the easiest thing you can do, and the best practice you can do, is going to be to quote something and discuss a quote, just like the first half of that how to write an essay handout. You can grab any kind of quotation from the Plato, and you can do it. You're also welcome to agree or disagree with things I've said, or quote or explain things that I said. It's entirely up to you. So anyway, I'm going to try to provide some more space for you guys to kind of do that. And all right, day 5. Got an orange juice and my high quality glasses on, so I'm doing all right. All right, looking good. So let's talk about some other things. Oh, one thing that's going to come up in this class over and over and over again, it's one of those things that I will forget about or forget to talk about, but I just want to say real quick. Socrates was Plato's teacher. One of the funny things about that means that just about everything we know about Socrates comes from Plato. So this one thing that might get slightly confusing this semester is that for a lot of people, myself included, whatever Socrates says is also what Plato thinks, right? If Socrates says something, it's also Plato speaking. So you are welcome to say Socrates says blah, 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 or Plato says blah, 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 blah. And in this case, in this book, that's going to be pretty much the same thing. Socrates and Plato. Plato does not seem to much in his career, and I'm sure some professional philosopher would like to fly in the window and yell at me about this and tell me it's not true. But as far as I know, Plato and Socrates don't really disagree on things. So you'll hear me occasionally say what Plato thinks, and you'll hear me say what Socrates thinks. It's the same thing, and I realize that could get confusing. On the plus side, here's the good news: you can't get it wrong. If you have a quote by Socrates from the Phaedrus, and you say Socrates says this, you're good. If you say Plato says this, you're good. Now Plato and Phaedrus don't get it. I think that's a different thing, because Socrates spends a lot of time disagreeing with Phaedrus. So if you want to quote something by Phaedrus, you better say Phaedrus says in Plato's book, The Phaedrus. By an ancient Greek philosopher, the character Phaedrus says, and then you can tell me what Phaedrus says. But Socrates and Plato, it's the same guy. So don't get too hung up on that. Not a big deal. Oh, the other thing I wanted to pick up from last time, I felt so stupid. So if you saw the last video, I was teaching outside, and I was going over bene, because Socrates on page 1 of the Phaedrus uses the word benefactor, and I was pointing that bene in Latin is good, and that a bunch of things that start with bene have good sort of in the meaning, right? So benefit, for example, beneficial, benediction, if you are a Roman Catholic. A bunch of words that have bene in them mean good. And I was sitting out there, and I don't know if you guys probably saw, but I kept doing this, because mosquitoes, it was like right after a storm, and mosquitoes were eating me. Anyway, like a total dum-dum, after I finished the lesson, I started using this because this mosquitoes make my neck sort of, when they bite me, it gets this big swelling thing. So I have this kind of anti-allergy sort of medication to use against the mosquito bites. Look what it's called. It's called Benadryl. What does Benadryl mean? It doesn't mean anything. It's a nonsense word that they made up because they usually give a lot of products, medicines in particular, have like nonsense. This doesn't, not the dictionary. You can't look up Benadryl in the dictionary. It doesn't mean something. But do you see that the bene in Benadryl, it sounds like it means something good. That's why they call it that. They're not going to call this Maladryl, because that's going to sound like that would be the name of a poison. Benadryl sounds like it does something good. Maladryl sounds like it's a poison that Severus Snape gave you to fuck you up. So the point is that I felt so stupid that I came in and I was thinking about, I'm trying to think, what are other B and E words I can teach my students about? And I completely forgot that I was literally holding a thing of Benadryl while I was doing that. Okay, cool. So we've hit the first sort of key moment, bottom of page 2 of the Phaedrus, and we've hit one of the first key moments. Socrates and Phaedrus have wandered outside the city, and Phaedrus has a speech in his hand by a guy named Lysias. Now, there's not a lot of people who need to remember their names. Basically, Socrates and Phaedrus are the only two people talking, and they are talking about a guy named Lysias. Socrates is a philosopher, Phaedrus is some young guy, and Lysias is a speechwriter. Phaedrus loves listening to Lysias's speeches. And Lysias has got a crazy speech on a weird subject that is very surprising and strange. He is ingenious, which means he's very clever and interesting and original. Well, his clever, interesting, original, weirdo argument is that it is better to be in a romantic relationship. And I'm just going to shorthand that to say married, but I realize that's not 100% accurate. But he's basically saying it's better to be married to someone who doesn't love you rather than someone who does, which is a very strange thing to say. And Socrates laughs and he's like, boy, this is great. I hope he says that it's better to marry old people rather than young people, or poor people rather than rich people, because Socrates is both old and poor. Socrates is a little bit like Jesus. He's sort of a poor guy who wanders around challenging people's beliefs and inspiring young people. And then, like Jesus, he's also executed by the government, which he kind of willingly goes to his own governmental execution, which is also sort of true of Jesus. Is complicated. I don't know. God, this is good orange juice. Okay, so Socrates and Phaedrus have now made their way out into the country, and Phaedrus is going to start. Socrates wanted to hear that speech from Lysias, and so Phaedrus is going to read it. So at the bottom of page 2, he's going to start reading the speech, and this is what our unit is about right now. The first, Phaedrus is divided into 3 sections. The first section is about how is this question we just raised, which is it better to marry someone who doesn't love you? Maybe section number 1 is, hey, I bet you it's better to marry somebody who doesn't love you rather than someone who does. And then section 2, which is the whole middle part of the book, is Socrates saying, ooh, no, that's not right. Love is much better than a lack of love. And then the third section is, can people like Lysias be trusted? They're so clever with words, but are they actually speaking the truth? And what is the relationship between words and truth? And that's it. So today we're going to dive in here and start looking at this speech from Lysias, and I will see you in the next video.